Howdy y'all. So I was playing with my yarn in my craft room and I thought I would record this quick video because this is something that I learned from one of the YouTube tutorials and I thought it was kind of helpful. This is your usual cast off using the Latchet tool here, and I hope you can see it clearly enough. So what I did, I kind of started doing it and then it's like, oh, let me do a quick video. So what I did, the trick here is before you start, so first of all, I still have my weights hanging, so it's pulling the fabric down, which makes it easier to control it as you are casting it off. And the second thing that I wanted to point out is that I pulled all the needles to the hold position. And what that does, it saves you some movement. So normally, as you're casting off, you will have to pull the needle all the way to the holding position and then back and move the move the stitch from the needle to the latchet tool, right? So we kind of did this, half of this movement by simply pulling them up. So all I need to do now, as you can see, is just pull the needle back. As I'm pulling it back, I'm hooking. So you can see here the latch is open, right? And the stitch that's on the latchet tool is behind the latch. So as I'm pulling this needle back, I'm hooking my latchet tool with the needle, and as it finishes, now I have that stitch on my latchet tool. So now I have both stitches, the one that was there previously and the one that I just transferred from the needle, on my latchet tool behind the latch. And now I take the yarn and put it over this gate peg, right? And now I pull it through both stitches. Now I do the same thing again, pulling it back, hooking those two needles, transferring the stitch, pulling the yarn, making sure that the yarn is in the hook and both stitches are behind the latch. Pull it through. Again, pull it through. And so after you practice it for a while, it's gonna get pretty fast, as you can see. So you're kind of getting used to this rhythm, if you will, right? And you will go all the way through doing this. You can try both ways. If you already did the latchet tool over the gate pegs cast off, you can compare those two and see which one is faster. I find this one to be faster, just like I said, because you save half of the movement, and especially if you have the fabric all across the needle bed, like when you have more than 100 stitches. Over here I only have like 30 because I was just making the skinny swatch, which, by the way, if you're not familiar with the skinny swatch is the swatch that you make when you're not sure at what tension to knit a specific fabric, which is typical especially if you inherit some vintage yarns and you're not familiar with. But even if the yarn that you're somewhat familiar with, different colors of the same yarn knit a little differently and result in a little in the gauge that's not exactly the same. So what I usually do, since I have a lot of yarn that kind of I inherited, it came with a machine. Machines, a lot of vintage yarn. So what I do, I would cast on 30 stitches, and I will start with a guess how little, the tension should be. Like for this particular yarn, you can see it's relatively thin. It's I think it's probably 230 double strand, I would guess, maybe 224. So I tried with the tension 4 on my brother KH930E standard gauge, and it was a little too tight. You can tell if it's a little too tight because your carriage will be, you will have to push it, you know, you have to put some effort to push the carriage across. So if that's the case, provided that your machine is serviced and oiled and otherwise functioning well, the tension is probably too tight. So in my case it was, so I started with tension number 5, needed about 20-30 rows, and make sure that you before you start kneading on each tension. So I needed maybe 10 rows, and then I transferred every other needle, the stitch from every other needle to the neighbor needle to make 5 holes that would remind me that I was kneading that portion of the skinny swatch on tension 5. Then after I did about 30 to 40 rows, I switched to tension 6, and again I transferred stitches from 6 needles every other needle so I can remember later that the next portion of the swatch was knitted on tension 6. And you can go until you get to the point where the fabric is like really loose. But again, depending on the type of fiber that you're using, sometimes you want the fabric in your swatch be relatively loose. For example, if we're dealing with cotton, you know that the cotton will shrink, so you want to accommodate for that. In my case, I'm pretty sure it's an acrylic yarn, so it's not going to shrink. If anything, it's going to expand somewhat. So for the acrylic yarns, if you're planning to steam them, which I highly recommend, you might want to knead that and at the tension a little bit tighter, because as you are steaming the acrylic yarns, it will expand and soften. So anyway, this is just a little bit of a know-how, if you will, kind of a little tip for you. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take it off and actually show you what the skinny swatch looks like in my case. So like I said, I just cast it on 30 stitches. Okay, cast it on 30 stitches, and see, so I started knitting at tension 1, 2, see those holes, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I started knitting at tension 4 here, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, see those holes. I needed a portion. It feels pretty tight. I already know that it's probably going to be too tight. Then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, there's 5 holes. So the next section is needed at tension 5. Then over here I have 6 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this section was needed at tension 6. This is tension 7, and this is tension 8. And I figured that's probably as loose as I want to go, because most likely I'm going to be on 7 or 6 after I steam it. That's my plan anyway, but it does kind of feel a little bit, maybe a little bit too tight. Definitely too tight down here, see? So again, so what you're going to do now, what I'm going to do with my skinny swatch is throw it in with other laundry. I usually do it over the weekends, so I have to do the laundry anyway. So I will throw it with my laundry and wash it and dry it like I would wash and dry the regular garment that I'm planning to make out of it. By the way, I'm planning to make Maria another sweater out of this yarn. So I'll wash it and dry it, and then I steam it. So all the same procedures as you would do with the fabric that you're planning to make out of it and with the garment. And then I will decide, after I wash and dry and steam it, just by feeling it, just by doing this, what tension I like the most. and that would be, then I will do the full size sample, which I usually make large, like 100 stitches by 100 rows, just so I can calculate the gauge more accurately. That helps with the accuracy of your garment, especially if you want to make something that you want to kind of be um, close and fitted, right? In that case, you will be more careful. If you're needing something oversized, then the accuracy might not be quite as important. But then again, it depends on the size, right? Because the margin of the arrow multiplied by the size could be significant. So anyway, I just wanted to share those little tips with you. I hope they're helpful. Happy knitting!